Hi everyone, and welcome to Mission 4 of the Community Builder Journey. And in this mission, we're going to discover what your ideal community match is. Right? So we're going to analyze the different sectors, the hottest sectors in blockchain, understand what their characteristics are, and then finally discover what is the best fit for you and for your interests and skills. So major blockchain sectors could be thought of as DeFi, which is decentralized finance, NFTs marketplaces, music NFTs, it's a whole bunch of NFT projects. Gaming is one huge sector that's been taking off now. SocialFi, websites like Farcaster and Lens where you created accounts on. There's a lot of sectors, and so let's just deep dive into what these different sectors are. And for this, we're going to use this website called rootdata.com, which has sort of the latest updated data about what the hottest projects are, what sort of latest trends are, and this can help you really understand the different sectors, right? So if we come to this projects page and click on all, you'll see sort of all the different categories and the tags that you can find here, right? So infrastructure, infra stands for infrastructure. That's the infra layer, blockchains, all of these fall under infrastructure. It could be layer 1 blockchains, layer 2 blockchains, ZK, AI, and Web3 is another huge narrative which is picking up lately. DeFi is one sector, NFT is one sector, DePIN, which stands for decentralized physical infrastructure, is another sector. RWA, which is real world assets, is another huge subsector which has seen great interest from BlackRock and traditional financial institutions. Cloud computing, the social and creator economy, gaming, and wallet, privacy. So you can see there are sort of subcategories under all of these, right? There's CeFi, which is like centralized finance. SEX is teams like Binance, etc. There's lending, borrowing teams. So many different categories for you to sort of look at and understand. And it's important as a community builder to at least be aware of what these different sectors are, and that's what's going to help you make your final decision, right? Which sector you want to specialize in. And there's unique sort of community characters and dynamics in each of these sectors, right? So even the channels you use, the platform you use would vary a lot. For instance, if it's an NFT project, right? Let's look at some NFT projects here. There's some digital NFT shoes, NFT cross-chain protocol, NFT creation. There's so many, all of these NFT projects. So NFT projects generally use Discord as a platform. The kind of vibe that you create with the community is a lot more people-driven. You really need to interact well with the community and the NFT holders. The tools that you use will also vary because you need to really give most importance to the NFT itself, right? So you use things like Collabland, which is for NFT-gated solutions. Contrast this with something like if you choose to be a SEX community or a centralized exchange community, or a DEX community, it's something that's very DeFi connected, finance connected. So you will really need to understand how these protocols work. You will need to understand things like yield and how farming works, how liquidity provision works. You really need to understand the details of DeFi before you can sort of be a community sort of builder for DeFi. You need to understand how TVL works, total value locked, how whales can deposit money, how do you find these whales, how do you sort of incentivize the community, give them ownership in these decentralized finance teams that you're building. So the really important step would be to understand each of these sectors, do some research about what the different sectors are out there, and this is a great sort of place to start, rootdata.com, where you can look at what the sort of trending sectors are now, right? Like gaming seems to be a trending sector. Let's see what is next. So you can see the teams that have recently raised funds. That's also a great way to look at which sectors are sort of booming, right? So let's see if the sector is mentioned here. The sector is not mentioned here, but you can research the project, see they're in what sectors and stuff like that. Right? So You see a lot of layer one, a lot of gaming protocols over here, decentralized AI. That's, as I mentioned, a great sort of thing that's picking up now. A lot of infrastructure projects, right? Because blockchain is so new, there's a lot of infrastructure projects coming in and making an impact. So once you've deep dived into these sectors, once you have a general awareness of what the broad sectors are and know what each sector is doing, then it's time to sort of go into what the community dynamics is for your chosen sector, right? And how do you choose your sector? So you really need to understand your skills. Where do they lie? What are your interests? Are they in something like real estate? Are they in something like infrastructure? Is it more sort of technically aligned? Even if you're building communities, you need to think about writing content, interacting with people. What kind of people do you want to interact with, right? Do you want to work with creators? Do you want to work with sort of technical engineers? Do you want to work on the financial sort of money Legos? So that's where you sort of really understand what your interest is, what your passion is. Think about what your values are, what has brought you to the space. We did sort of basic value alignment exercise in the first mission. Really think deeper about that first mission too, right? Think about the sort of impact when you read the second book, Read, Write, Own. What were your takeaways? Even as a community builder, what interests you the most? Try to come at sort of this alignment and think about what at least answer as a final question is like, what do you want out of this, right? Like what kind of people specifically do you want to interact with? Because as a community builder, that's your biggest job, interacting with people. So do you want to interact with creators? Do you want to interact with technical engineers and really smart sort of people building that infra layer of blockchain? Do you want to work with people in the real estate industry? Is it more sort of a social impact angle, something for environment? Or is it AI and Web3 intersection that excites you? So try to find out and answer this question. What kind of people do you want to work with as the community builder? Start going about this matching process, right? Based on the kind of people that you've arrived at. So I would say for me, the answer as a community builder would be music, right? I want to work with musicians and people in the music industry. So I would look for a category. Maybe that category is not listed here, but I would want to work for something like Web3 music, right? And that's what I did. I went ahead and made this sort of list of companies that are there in Web3 music, sort of just identifying what the different options are out there, right? And researched what each of one of them are doing, which one aligns with me the most. So I kind of found the sector, the kind of people that excite me the most, that's musicians. And Web3 has a space for all sectors, I would say, right? So Web3 music can be one thing, and if shopping is what interests you, Web3 fashion could very well be a sector, right? There's a lot of companies in subsectors for whatever you want to do, right? So once you've identified the kind of people you want to work with, try to find a Web3 sector that matches that, right? And identify the different companies working in that particular sector. And your final step is now to engage with the chosen sector, right? You have your Twitter profiles created, you have your Web3 social media created. Now sort of start building your identity in that chosen sector. Right? If, for example, mine is Web3 music, I will start doing things like creating this sheet, adding value to this broader sector as a whole, engage with this chosen sector, tweet resources, sort of identify companies and what their requirements are. And finally, your sort of mission at the end of this mission is to join one of these communities, right? Like once you've identified the sector, contributed, figured out ways you can contribute to this broad sector as a whole, identify one community that you really want to join from this chosen sector and join that community and start contributing to it in some way, right? And how do you identify communities to join? Like once you've found your sector, you can check out things like Super Team on superteam.fun. they have like open bounties under different categories, right? So if you want to look at the content sector, you can see it's a beacon project, 500 USDC to write your own thread. So you can actually get paid to do this mission, right? So impact report, in the gaming sector, gameplay video post, create to win a grand prize. So it seems like a gaming project. There's L-Bank exchange. This is a centralized exchange process. Healthcare also has options. So you can find which sort of community to join. This is a good shortlist that you can also look at. There's also Bounty Caster, which is on Farcaster that created earlier. This also has like a great list of open bounties and open projects, jobs even. So you can see the interview about sending money, raffles, and a lot of different sort of ideas and interesting sort of bounties that you can complete. And you can identify, once you try to do this step, after you've identified your community, right, you can sort of find categories here to community and try to identify. So these are open jobs that you can also find, and there will be bounties too that you can filter by, right? So look for the community or look for the category that interests you the most, and try to find one of these communities that you can join to and actually start working on one of these bounties, right? Maybe something super small, that doesn't matter, but it's within the main criteria is that has to be within your chosen sector and for one community, one company within that chosen sector, right? Find a bounty like that, contribute to it, and that's the completion of your mission. Thank you so much for listening.